share this out. The more people that get to know us, get to experience, hear our philosophies, hear our success stories. I think that's the best way to attract people, right? I mean, if you're building any kind of organization, folks, by the way, and we're going to really get into building an empire today with Elena Cardone, because she has built an empire. Make no mistake about it. And I've had the pleasure of seeing a lot of sort of the behind the scenes and really the entire organization from top down. I mean, literally from the way Elena runs her family to the way they run their companies to the way they literally just run around the world. And it's probably the best thing I've ever seen. I mean, it's literally, if you're looking for someone to pattern your life after, if you're looking for someone to pattern your business after, pattern your mindset after, look no further than the Cardones. Because I mean, it's really, they're not just good at one thing. They're literally good at everything, and including beach football, which Elena apparently must have played a little beach football growing up in New Orleans. But well, let's get into it. And if for some reason, Matt or Christy, if my sound, I'm going to pull up Suzanne here and make sure we got all our moderators up here. So for some reason my sound cuts out. Somebody just let me know. I'm getting a little bit of a poor connection, but let's go back, Elena. Let's take this back. And again, folks, we're going to go through Elena's story a little bit here, and then we'll open it up for questions and make sure everybody gets a chance to chat with Elena here that wants to. So Elena, you grew up where?
I grew up in New Orleans, darling. Who dat?
So take us back. Tell us your story, and I'm going to read something from your book, and then I want you to kind of get into your story. But I want to set the tone. Christy and I wake up every morning. We kind of, and a lot of the times I'll go down and I'll spend some time in the 10X Nation, and I come back leveled up, and I come back with all kinds of great ideas and information on things that I can implement into my business, into my life, into my family. And one of the things Christy and I came back from one of our last experiences down in Miami was, we got to get up earlier. So we've been getting up every morning at 5 a.m. We make our little coffee or our little morning whatever, and then we pick a book to read. So right now we started with Elena's Build an Empire, How to Have It All. And so if you don't have that book, you should get that book, because it is literally a blueprint for how to build your family, build your organization, create your royal court. And we're going to get into all that. But I want to read the first passage that she has in her book. You are either building an empire or destroying one. So Elena, take us back to those early years of when you were first starting to build your personal empire, and just walk us through some of those twists and turns, and then we'll kind of bring us to today.
Well, when I first started to build the empire, it was around 2008, ironically. Grant and I had been married for 4 years. We were married in 2004. And then in 2008, everyone remembers, there was an economic collapse. It was the first time we were hoodwinked by some con artists. They tried to sue us for a bunch of money. I couldn't believe that we were conned, like hook, line, and sinker. It was a devastating time for us. It was the beauty of it is that I was pregnant with our first child, Sabrina. But I was pregnant. I was working as an actress in Los Angeles back then. But pregnant, it's hard enough to work as an actress. Now add being pregnant on top of it. It was like, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to survive this? It was the first time that I had reality that, middle class is just poor rich people.
Yeah.
Because I guess we were kind of considered rich people at that time, until a lawsuit, an economic collapse, until the bank wants to, cash in on their money. And anyway, long story, it was just a difficult time. And so I had to really confront my situation of, what am I going to do? Am I going to go all in on us and all in on Grant, or am I going to keep doing what I'm doing? But because what I was doing was, even though we were married, I was still operating as this independent
Yeah.
single woman who had to do everything on her own. And like
Have
it
your
took,
own career, be
I
your
had
own,
to have
be
my own career. There was
right,
no way I could trade in my career for a man. Like,
right,
women across the world were going to hate me. I was going to be a sellout. How could I do this? Like, I'm a loser, and no man can control me. I mean, I had like real things to deal with in my mind. And then finally I thought about it and I said, well, I can either go for this idea, because I've always been a visionary. So I'll always can see the future and what I have to do in order to get there. And I could see this future of this empire and this thing. And, that's just my strength, my ability. And I said, you know what, if I can actually get that or work for that and have that, then I can put all of these considerations aside, go support my man, put every asset strength behind him and us, and build this thing. And fortunately, it's like I always say, find the one you trust and build an empire. I don't say find the one you love. I mean, because that should honestly be a given. But it's find the one you trust, because there's going to be moments in an 18-year marriage where you don't like each other, or you don't get along. But when you trust each other, you know your roles in the relationship. I'm executing it 100%, no matter what, whether I like him or I don't like him. I'm still like depended upon to deliver at optimum levels, no matter how I feel about him at the time, no matter what fight or this or that.
right.
So,
But you
so
made
that
that decision. Let
I
me let me
made that
unpack some of this.
decision.
Let
I
me
made
unpack.
that. Yeah.
Let me, because I really think this is an important point. I mean, it might be the most important point, because I think a lot of folks, and I know for a fact a lot of people in this clubhouse today, a lot of the audience members are dealing with that very same decision, whether they have a significant other, maybe they're dating, maybe they're married, or just people in their life, partners, roommates, friends, family members, where they're feeling like, that person that's supposed to be their, like, their backbone, their right hand, their you talk a lot about this in your book. You are the woman behind your man, but you're there behind, pushing him, making sure if he falters, you're going to pick up the pace, you're going to not let him fall. And so you're really the woman, but besides the man, but you're also behind and I just love the way you explain all that. But it's a different twist, right? You said the world's going to attack you if you come out and say, hey, I'm going to be a good mother, a good wife, a good supporter. And I just feel like, how important was that to what eventually became the Cardone Empire and the 10X Nation? I mean, I think that might have been the most important decision made, period. But having you supporting Grant, and vice versa, obviously, but also just that decision to not be sort of conditioned to go after your career and chase your whatever, and just and be independent, if you will, right? How important, again, was that decision? Was that not the most?
Well, it was a really important decision. And, I traded in the career in order to trade up to what I really wanted, and it was really important because I learned a lot. I learned how to work in a collaborated and a coordinated effort with a person in order to achieve a heightened level of success. It got us aligned on a mission with a plan and a purpose. So it wasn't just about me, 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 me anymore. It was like really about, okay, I'm going to take myself to the highest level. Grant, you're taking yourself to the highest level. And anything that you go above your highest level, that's me. I did that. Everything I do above my heightened level, that's Grant. He's pushed me. That's what we do for each other. That to me is the only reason I'm interested in a relationship. Otherwise, why am I in one? I can do what I can do on my own.
Right.
What is the purpose of being with a person or a teammate
If you're not going
unless
to create that synergy,
I'm
create
only
that.
I'm only interested in a heightened level of success.
Yeah.
And if you're not interested in helping me reach a heightened level of success, I'm not interested in you. And I don't care who that is. It could be friend, person on the street. It's like I'm going on a mission in life to make a difference for the better on this world. There's not a whole lot of loaf time. I have big visions, big dreams. I want to impact a lot of lives. And I'm just crazy enough to think that maybe I could even like achieve that goal. But it's not going to happen with wasting my time on people who are anchors, who don't want to change, who don't have the vision and the mission. Like, I'm not interested. If you're interested in being mediocre, I don't hate you. I don't dislike you. I'm still going to respect you, but I don't have time for you. I'm on a quest to make a difference for the better. This is where I'm at in my life, And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it was important for that decision. I learned a lot. I learned no one has built an empire alone in the history of empires on the planet. And the solopreneur and having to think that you have to do everything on your own is a trap to keep you small, because you'll never get big without having people in your empire. And it starts, it starts in your bedroom. I hate to put it so bluntly, but it starts in the bedroom and your family, and then it goes onward to your business partners, your collaborative partners, to the rest of the empire.
Yeah. It's funny, but Christy and I have a very similar uh experience. We started off, she was in nursing school, I was in real estate school. That's when we first met, even though we were in our late 20s, and it was right around the same time, we met right around the time you and Grant were probably getting married or just gotten married. We've been together since 2004. And so, when we met, she was going one way, I was going the other. I ended up hooking up with Glenn right out of real estate school. So, I got busy fast, and I saw the potential with Glenn really early on. I mean, this guy was a different kind of dude, and he was doing things way differently. He was talking way differently. He was thinking way differently, and I was vibing with his thought process. And Glenn, just like you said, only interested in achieving a heightened level of success. I mean, I was sharing this with some of my friends yesterday, or some of my business partners yesterday. But even back in the day, very early on, Glenn's very unassuming. He's very, kind of, he's just kind of very, you wouldn't think he's not a big bragger. He's not running around beating his chest very much. He's very unassuming. He's very much like a black belt type of a mindset. But at the same time, you get him talking, and he's always wanted to dominate. He's always wanted to be the best. We used to make jokes like, we're like Rome, either get with us or get rolled by us. And so, he's always been that guy. He always wanted to be the best. We used to joke, and he'd come out like number 200 on the most influential in real estate list, and I was like, gonna be number one soon. How shoot, I thought like he always wants to be the number one most influential. So I see a lot of similarities between him and you and Grant. And so Christy and I, very early on had to make that decision too. And it wasn't always easy. And there were a lot of times where, I'd be going out to do happy hours or some sort of recruiting event or whatever. And she'd be like, stuck home with the kids. And she'd be like, well, you get to go out and socialize. And I'd say, well, but I'm working. This is part of my work. So ultimately, I think, did Grant just log in? Let's
Yeah,
see
you
if we
want to
got.
pull him up, Brian.
Yeah, let me pull up Grant, and I'll make you guys moderators too. There he is. Now he's on a plane, so he may not be able to say much, but we'll see if we'll leave his mic on. Feel free to chime in if he's available. Good morning, Grant. If you're able to say anything, feel free. But yeah, so Elena, I think that is the most important thing. The fact that you made that decision to sort of, let's call it sacrifice, but at some level, what is the root word of sacrifice? It's sacred. You saying there's no more sacred thing than it starts in the bedroom, right? So now tell us a little bit more about those early years. I love the lotto game. Actually, as a matter of fact, that was the chapter Christy and I were reading yesterday. But talk about some of those struggle times, some of those downtimes, some of those mental tricks, some of those manifesting tricks that you utilize to keep the boat rowing in the right.
Okay. Good morning, Grant. Are you here?
Yo, what's up? Can y'all hear me?
Oh yeah.
I'm up in the air, guys.
Okay, you coming home, or are you stopping off someplace else?
No, I'm coming home. Can you hear me?
Yeah, darling.
Dude, that's
Okay,
amazing.
so
I'm at 47,000 feet.
damn, you sound great.
Wow, that's amazing.
Nice.
I can hear you guys
Um,
perfectly. I'm on Clubhouse at 47,000.
That's got to be a new
woohoo!
record. I think we just set the new clubhouse, height record,
Yeah, I think we did. It went down in your room.
altitude.
Um,
I'm in the 1 mile club at Clubhouse. Elena, are you in the 1 mile? Are you in the Mile High Club?
I don't know what that means. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
Okay. So Grant, Brian's asking me about the early days. I wish the early days, were on Instagram. Because a lot of people, I think, look at us now and think that we have it so easy and we don't have struggles, and that it was just so easy. And I don't want to like disenfranchise anyone and think, oh God, it's not worth it. Everything has been worth it. But so in 2008, we went into survival mode. There was no purpose of, quite frankly, changing the planet or making a difference, or, I wasn't on this financial freedom crusader binge. It was survive. And how do we not lose everything? It was very challenging times. There was no designer clothes or planes or, um, G, you want to say something? Okay. So at that time, Grant's business as he knew it was pretty much over, and we were terrified, and I could see that Grant was terrified. And for someone who is used to seeing somebody be so swagged out and so cocky and arrogant, or maybe that's the wrong words. Sorry, I should say confident and powerful.
Yeah.
So when I saw him be scared, it really scared me. And so I didn't like that. Um, and I didn't want him feeling sorry for himself, and I didn't want his confidence diminished. So I came up with this game that you're reading in the book called the Lotto game. And I thought of this game. Like I said to Grant, what would you do if you had $200 million, which was like this? I mean, it's an enormous amount of money. It was so outrageous and so unattainable to our thoughts at the time. Because literally, we didn't even know if we were going to hang on to the house. And but I played this game, and the reason why I did that is because you started to go, oh, what would I do? And it starts opening your mind to the possibilities of what you would create. And then I would raise it to 1 billion. What would you do? And then I would do this and that. And you eventually got to the point where if you were a billionaire, you kind of have the idea that you can do anything, call anyone, say anyone, and you don't really care if, like, something doesn't go your way, because I don't know, because you're a billionaire. And then an epiphany happened, and it was almost like, okay, so why do we need digits in a bank account to make you assume that beingness, the feeling, the sensation of a billionaire, not go out and spend money you don't have, not be irresponsible, but why not have the attitude and wear the hat of a billionaire? Like, if you were a billionaire, you wouldn't be afraid to make the calls. So make the calls. Or what do you have to do? It changes your mindset to think bigger. Like, everything has to be bigger and more scaled out. And if you're thinking about 1 billion rather than 1 million. And so it got his mind working and taking action, like, mentally. And so I think he could attest. I don't want to talk on his behalf, but I think it helped him to get unstuck and less afraid, because he could see that he had options and ways out and how he could create that. And so from there, we just started to take the actions necessary that it would take to achieve those goals. And then again, another thing early on was when I told him, you need to become a billionaire. And when I first told him that, he was furious at me. And you can understand from a man's point of view when his woman is saying you need to become a billionaire without explaining myself. it was difficult because now I put an expectation on him, and when's enough going to be enough? And he's the one that has to go out and hammer and push and shove and figure it out. It's easy for me, this visionary, to be like, oh, we're going to do this and that, and we're going to do this and over here, and you're going to, which is not really we, it's actually him. I'm just going to support him and flow all the power to make him able to do that. But it's really him that's doing the grunt work. But once I got to explain myself, I explained, look, Grant, a billion is just a representation in the physical universe that you achieved a goal. It's just a target. It's just a gauge that we can say, if you hit a billion, then enough people will have been influenced by your products and services in order to amass a wealth of $1 billion. Like you'd be known across the world, you know?
It's such a huge mindset shift. I mean, it's Michael O'Malley, one of our friends, Michael, and who works with you and helps you build your empire over at EXP now. And he used to say, modernizing traditional. That was kind of his brand for real estate. And I feel like that show Modern Family, you guys are like the modern family. Like, you've you sort of reinvented this idea of being a traditional family, but with like a new modern success. I mean, it's all of it, right? It's like the best brand possible because it's family focused, but yet your family is everybody. Like, you let all these people, this nation of 10xers, into your family, into your life, into your homes. I just was at 2 different condo parties with you guys, and you just have all this amazing cross section of people there, and from all walks of life, all corners of the globe. And it's just such a cool, modern, but yet based in sort of some traditional core, concepts. Could you kind of maybe help me unpack some of that? Like, where did you guys develop all that? What was it, growing up in Louisiana? Was it, just your trials and tribulations kind of coming up in the scene? Like, where did you kind of develop this core philosophy?
You mean the core philosophy of like just kind of welcoming everybody
Well,
and
no,
like
being like a traditional family, but in like the modern age, right? Like, where did that come?
um I honestly I don't know. I just believe in family. I feel like the family has been kind of torn apart in society. Divorces are made so easy, and people give up and have this concept of there should just be this eternal bliss and happiness, and I'm not disagreeing with that, but sometimes I feel like people give up a little too soon in the deal rather than figuring it out and working together. And of course, I'm not saying divorce isn't necessary in all cases, but I just feel like the family, there's been an attack on families,
Yeah.
and I want to restore the value of the family and the family unit. And maybe I'm just traditional and old school. I don't know. I wasn't like this as a kid. As a kid,
But
I was
you're
like,
not very traditional in a lot of ways either, right? I mean, you like gangster rap, you like, you're all over the place. But no, but that's awesome because, honestly, I give your book to a lot of my friends who have challenges at home, right? So let's say challenges at home. It could be a million different things. It could just be, the one spouse is going one way with their career. Maybe the other spouse isn't feeling like they're getting supported in what they're doing, or there's a disconnect. So I'm like, you guys need to read Build an Empire. Like, get it, read it separately, then get together, read it together. I mean, it's helped our marriage, it's helped our business, it's helped our family. I mean, there's so many golden nuggets in how to raise kids. Let's talk about that a little bit. So how did kids change the equation for you guys? You've got 2 beautiful daughters. Talk a little bit about that.
well, the kids, I mean, that's just a whole nother
Well, let me
level.
let me let me couch it in something practical, because what we do, Elena, is hard, right? We're selling houses. We're bringing in people who sell houses. It takes a lot of energy. We're doing stuff during the day, during the night, on weekends, and I get a lot of pushback from a lot of my leaders that they say, "Well, I got kids. I can't do all that because I got kids," right? It almost becomes a shield and a sword, right? They attack with it and then when they feel attacked, they defend themselves with it, right? So they use their kids as kind of a shield and a sword. How did you guys solve that challenge? Because obviously nobody's busier than you and Grant. Nobody's doing more. Nobody's adding more to their plate, and yet you are still able to do these amazing things with your kids. So how did you guys figure out that?
I got what you're saying. Okay, so early on, Grant and I had heard people make excuses of their kids, and we vowed to each other that we're never going to use our kids as an excuse for us not doing something or getting out of something or whatever. So we just put that policy into place. And then, they've been indoctrinated from a very young age, even before most people credit their children for really being able to comprehend things. But I mean, from when they were 1, 2, 3 years old, I made it very clear that we're Team Cardone, and Team Cardone wants to help people. We want to make a difference for the better. Do you want to do that? I mean, most kids do want to help. Most kids have run into problems because they're not allowed to help. The parents are like, don't do this, stop that. They're so scared of everything. They don't let a child exchange and contribute to the family dynamic. And that's ultimately what they want to do. So I've let them help and be a participant. And how do you want to help? You want to do 10x kids, you want to get on Clubhouse, you want to reach out, you want to help sell tickets, you want to greet people at our events, or something simple. You draw me a picture. That's them exchanging. That's them wanting to help you and make you happy and smile. Accept it. Don't just like, oh yeah, that's great. Like, so and then also to address not being there physically all the time. If we ever had to leave, I explained to them, look, this is what we do. Mom and dad, we speak to people. Sometimes you can't come with us, like when they were earlier, but your job as Team Cardone is to protect the house. That's your job. You got to look after the people watching you, not the other way around. And when you allow us to be on the road and you're okay and we don't have to worry about you, you're actually helping people. That's how you're supporting helping people, because you're helping us help them. And so they understand that they're not being left, that they're actually, that is their way of giving a contribution. And then every time they come home, we come home, we bring a gift. Thank you so much. You did such a great job protecting the house. Everything is great. So they feel like they have little jobs at 3 and 4 and 7 and 9 and 10 and 12, or whatever age they grow where they are to current. So that's how I did it. I've always included them. I've always let them know what the mission is. And I've always tried to let them help at whatever age appropriate action that they could deliver at the time. Yeah. You want more?
Yeah, no, sorry, no.
I love
I had
that.
like 5 screens up, and I was back channeling a few people while you were talking. But that's, to me, that was such a huge piece is the kids, right? We've got 3 young ones, 12, 9, and 6. You got a chance to meet Taylor. She worked her way up to that front of that room too, Elena. She was not gonna let security. She was not gonna let being in her jammies. She was not gonna let having a terrible night's sleep and having a little tummy ache. She wasn't gonna let any of that stop her. She was going straight to the front. She had to meet you. She had to see what mommy and daddy were doing. She was sick of being up in that hotel room for 5 days and not knowing what we were doing all day. And it was just hilarious. I mean, she literally was not taking no for an answer. So she kind of reminded me of a little, little Elena, little Christy. She was gonna get up there come hell or high water. I was worried she was gonna try and run up on stage with Grant at one point.
Oh, he would have hugged her. He loves
I know he was. No, I was
children.
worried. I was worried for
She's
the
so
audience.
beautiful. Yeah, she was beautiful. You're doing a great job as a parent, Brian and
Thank
Christy.
you. Thank you. Yeah, no, I mean, I think, again, there's a lot, you run into this a lot. A lot of what we do here in Closers Club is we really try and unpack people's mindsets. We really try and help them, transform their thinking. We help them, elevate, level up, realize they can do more. They can add more to their plate. The plate is not finite. The plate can be expanded. A lot going to these conferences. I shared the story with Grant a while ago, but about how when I came down to 10x, I was being a little B. I had made about $50 million. I was feeling like, okay, I was using the R word, the semi R word. I was saying things like, well, I'm going to slow down. I don't need to talk to as many people. I'm going to, take in the beaches of the world and and I also had throat pain. Like I wasn't feeling good. I was talking a lot. I had all kinds of health issues from breaking my hip back in 10 years ago. So I was kind of feeling sorry for myself. I was feeling a little run down. Ended up coming down to 10x Growth Con, and the first person we saw was Jesse Isler. He literally talked through this whole experience where he, had David Goggins yelling at him, "I don't feel pain, I don't quit." And so I started doing that throughout the week because I was tired, I was feeling this throat issue, and so I just started saying, "I don't feel tired, I don't feel pain, I don't quit." I'm not hungover, I'm not feeling bad. I'm getting up early. I'm going to make this, and I just did that whole week, and I'm not even kidding. I mean, literally, the throat pain went away. Okay. I'm actually talking 10 times more than I was before the conference. Haven't had the throat pain come back. And I was sharing this with Grant, and he goes, "Yeah, you just keep it moving." He's like, "You just don't let the rust cling on to you. You just keep it moving. Just keep it going." He's like, "You move so fast that you can't get sick. And I just was like, is that it? Like, is that really what's happening? But it really is it. Like, it's like if you just keep it moving, if you keep adding more to the plate. So let's talk about some of the stuff that you guys are doing. I mean, I think, just being in close to your orbit is incredible. Seeing what you guys are able to accomplish on a daily basis. I mean, let's do this, Elena. Walk us through what your day looks like. Like, how do you start your day? What are some of your non-negotiables? I know you get up and you do some some kicks and some punches in the morning. Like, walk me through your morning routine and what.
I wake up every morning exactly what you said, and I go train every single day. I'm up to about an hour and a half to 2 hours a day,
Train
so I
with
do
who?
about.
Train how? Train where?
I train here at my gym at my building with my coach Javier. He's a retired MMA professional, so I'm training MMA. I'm training conditioning, so I do a little bit of both every day. And then that's about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And after that, I'm showering. I get dressed, and then from there, literally, I mean, it's just random. It's just back to back. It's all day long. I'm either on Zooms calls, putting deals together, showing properties, working on my listings,
Shooting
working on
videos, making
shooting
appearances on the
videos.
Today Show.
That's right. That's right. So it's just, and I have a schedule. So the assistant makes the schedule, and I look at it the night before, and then I just plan accordingly. And last night I started, I guess at 6 a.m. and my last call was probably at 10:05 at night when I was done. But Tuesdays are my busiest days. But I feel great. It's like great production. I'm also doing this new program where I have meal planning. So I had never done that before. I never understood the value of food and how important food is to training. So I'm actually eating more food than I've ever eaten in my entire life, and yet I feel like I'm getting leaner and more muscle. It's just so bizarre because I was an actress and a model for so many years, and it's definitely not the way to go, and it's not healthy. But all we used to do was not eat and do a lot of cardio. And so, that's another thing. So recently I've just wrapped my head around with which is great because I love food, but it's just amazing to me. I can't believe all this food I get to eat, and yet I'm still looking better. Like, why didn't I know this 20 years ago? I'm so freaking mad
Well,
at
you you
myself.
you are amazing at another thing is surrounding yourself with coaches, and you pull these people in like Kelly, for example, right? Or I know she does a lot for you, but like Kelly is also like a world class nutritionist, right? So she's got you, eating a whole nother level of diet, right?
Yep.
But you're really good. I mean, you've got Javier, you've got. So let's talk about some of the
I only
importance,
train with the best. I only
right?
train with the best. I competed three gun. My instructor at three gun is number 1 in the nation. He was number 2 at world.
Joe,
I train with pistol. I only train with like the number 1, number 2. I only train with the highest level. Like I want to fast track my way to success. Now I'm
yes.
doing EXP. I'm going to all of the like the really top of the top of the top. of the professionals that have the statistics and questioning them. What are the mistakes you made? What do I need to do? How can I fast track my way to success? Picking their brain and then executing what they say. You know,
Let me share some insight into that. So, folks, let me just share this. Before Elena joined, the land speed record for adding people to your organization, especially your front line, was
can I just announce that today I hit 200 people in
hey,
my
your mic's on and
organization?
off. And what? And 200 people in your total organization in less
Yes.
than since what, March?
Yeah, in 4
April,
months.
May,
Four,
June, July.
four, four, 4.5 months. Yeah,
4.5
200 people.
months, 200 people, and how many frontliners total?
71, and I've given almost 30 away. I've placed 30 in my downline.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 71 in 4 months, folks. Prior to that, like doing really good was 3 a month. So let me put that in perspective. Like the person who had done the best at the highest level at EXP was doing 3 or 4 a month, maybe 1 a week. And Elena came in and did 5 a week. And so, and wasn't from real estate, had never done this before. So, and now you can say, oh well, she's a celebrity, so that's easy for her. But how about
Yeah.
this? There's
They
somebody
say,
in her organization that did just as fast. That's
yeah,
not a celebrity.
Claudiane has like 39. She's incredible. And that's the thing, it can be duplicated,
Right.
like, so again, they can say, and it's true. I'll give that, a little bit of credibility. I do have a bit of a spotlight. I have an advantage. I ride on my husband's coattails. He's done a great job, so people know who I am, and so that could make a difference. But I also am putting in the work. I'm on calls. I'm going to the number one MLMer in the world right now. They had to make up a new status. I know EXP is not an MLM, but it does have a bonus component. So I went to her. She took a meeting with me, and anyway, she hit 2 million in 1 week. But anyway, I went to her and I said, "How do I do the calls? What do I do? How do I do it?"
And you went and studied
Every
one of her calls, right? You were just on one of her calls yesterday.
I studied another guy's call who's created about 12 or 14 MLMs, and I listened, I took notes, and I execute.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to fast track my way to success. I also interviewed Brent Gove, who's very successful with EXP. He's making $1 million a month, 12 million a year. He did it in 4.5 years. I texted him 2 days ago. Whenever I have a question, he's trying to help me. So I go to the people who have the
Yeah.
stats and I execute, which, by the way, a slight, humble, but unapologetic, little small promotion, if I can I?
Please.
So this woman that I'm telling you about, Stormy Wellington, is going to be speaking at my 10X Ladies event. It's the Power Player Summit. So this 10X Ladies in Miami, October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. I'm bringing in the elite of the elite women across the world to speak at this event. And if anyone's interested, go to 10xladies.com and make sure you get your tickets. It's going to be on a massive yacht, so I can only have 250 people. So, I mean, it's not like it's not like in a hotel room where I can keep adding to people. So,
Yeah, no, get your spot now, folks. I know
thank you.
Christy's coming. I know a number of the Power Girls at EXP are coming. So you're gonna have a really great crew. I'm trying to get a lot of my leaders to have their wives come down because I just think this would be, again, kind of back to what we were talking about originally. It's just so helpful if everybody in the family is rowing in the same direction and in the same boat, heading to the same place. We're normally, as humans, we're large animal. We hunt large game. We're not typically, we don't typically hunt, bunny rabbits and, squirrels. So, we do, but we'll take what we can get, right, if we have to. But normally we're set to quest. And so it takes a wolf pack. Well, you're sitting at home with a wolf pack, right? We're often sitting here going, a lot of men certainly suffer from this. They think we got to do it all ourselves. We can't ask for help. We can't ask for directions, and we end up dying with, stomach cancer and a heart attack because we put all this pressure on us to go out and kill the dragon every day to come home, bring food home to the kids because we got to put food on the table. And we don't realize that those kids and that spouse and that brother or that sister, they're part of the pack. They should be out hunting with us. And so I just love how you've given all of your family has like a role to play. I love how you've organized your life. I love how you've organized your stuff. So absolutely, folks, if you want to get more of this kind of golden secret information on how to build your empire, you got to be at 10x Ladies, especially. And I'm bringing my family down. I'm going to be doing stuff with the husbands and the brothers and the fathers and the sons. So anyone who wants to come down to 10x Ladies, we'll be down there. We'll be staying at the JW. We're going to be having a blast. What are the dates on that again, Elena?
October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. But October 1st is the nighttime check-in reception party. It's really the 2nd and the 3rd.
And if they want to go, they go to what? 10 what's the
10xladies.com.
Yeah.
10xladies.com, and we'll get you hooked
We'll
up
probably
with tickets.
sell out after the show because it's going down. I mean, I would say
this is going to be an exciting one. It's the Power Players edition. So it's intentionally designed, this particular event, to be a smaller crowd of just really committed, powerful women across the globe, willing to take responsibility and own the power, and to go out back into the communities and not only make a difference in their lives, but in the lives of their families and their communities. So it's going to be an incredible mixture of networking from just really awesome women from around the world who are interested in helping each other reach a heightened level of success.
Yeah, I mean, the networking, the golden nuggets, just being in that orbit, it's just going to elevate you. And even us dads and husbands at home, we're going to have a blast and do some real fun stuff and elevate as well. So it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome. These women are going to, be 10x'd by the time they leave, empowered to live in abundance in their business, with their finances, relationships, families, and mindset. So,
and that's the real beauty. And I'm just going to reset the room again. Closers Club. We do this every Wednesday, folks. Don't miss these shows. I mean, we've had some amazing guests on. We're going to continue to have some amazing guests on. And people refer to this as sort of group therapy meets motivational success philosophy. So I don't know. We'll call it what you want. But we're going to just keep doing our thing here and growing this thing. So if you like what you're hearing, make sure you jump on Elena's Instagram and you follow her. Make sure if you've got questions to Elena or about anything that she's up to, 10X Ladies, her EXP organization that she's building, hit her up with an Instagram. You can actually back channel now by clicking. If you click on somebody's picture, you can actually click on that it looks like a little maple leaf or something, and next to following, and you can actually hit them with a little DM here in Clubhouse now. So they've added that feature. And of course, if you like anybody else on stage, myself included, feel free to hit me up with a Instagram or a DM or a back channel or anything. I'm just, I'm easy to find. Elena's easier to find. And what's really cool about Elena's, they don't put up barriers between them and their fans and their crew and their followers and their work, the people that work with them. They actually break down barriers, and they're super approachable. They have a machine in place that can handle all of the incoming. They've raised the bar of their professional and personal, systems to the point where really it's limitless, the amount of people that they can work with and help achieve success. So don't hesitate to reach out to Elena or myself or anybody in that orbit. We're here to help. And that is why I think Elena and I, work well together, because we share a similar vision. We share a similar goal. A lot of people think probably, hey, Brian's hanging out with the Cardones and now he thinks he's a badass. Well, I had Jeremy on last week, who's my friend, and I do, by the way, and I love it, by the way. But I'm not.
Well, you
changing
went
into
through
somebody.
Operation Badass, 10x Badass.
Well,
anyway.
I did do that, so that does give me some street cred. We spent 3 days shooting guns and kicking down hot houses and clearing rooms with Elena down in the swamps of Orlando. But that was an unbelievable experience. So Operation 10X Badass, keep your eyes out for the next one. But at the same time, I feel like I'm getting back to my true self. And what I want to take this next piece of the conversation is, I feel like, and I want to thank you and Grant for giving me and Christy permission to really be our true selves. I think a lot of us have this in us. We're born with this sort of fiery, passionate spirit. You look at a little kid and you're like, this kid's perfect, and then sort of like you were explaining early in your life and career, the world sort of gets a hold of us, right? It sort of tamps us down. It causes us to mute the trumpet a little bit. It tells us to be quiet and go sit in the corner and shut up and just be humble. Don't be such a braggart. Don't be so flashy. And I'm getting a lot of that in, like, whispers. I'm actually I like it because it's at some level they notice you, right? I mean, it's like these are people that probably didn't even notice before, but I'm getting a lot of positive feedback. You still hear a little bit of this and that, but let's talk about how you guys sort of broke through that, because again, a lot of life. And by the way, I don't know if you noticed, Elena, or if you reset your room, but I've got that picture of I'm going to share what that picture is here in a second. But I've got that angel wing picture that we had happen a couple last week or whatever. But let's talk about the importance of sort of letting that sort of inner golden Buddha wild person out of the cage. Like, let's talk about how that was so impactful for you and Grant, and how you guys cultivate that on a daily basis.
Don't kill me. Can you rephrase that
Yeah.
question?
So no, 100%. So I knew I was getting a little off the rails on that. So, like, you guys give me permission to just be my true self, right? I see what you're doing. You're obsessed on every level: family, fun, finances, health, wellness. And I think a lot of people, get conditioned to sort of, humble themselves. And I'll even share, with Grant and I, when he sat down, he goes, I said, well, I'm trying to stay humble. And he said, Brian, look that word up. You'll never use that word again. So, like, where did you kind of, what was your breakthrough moment in that whole?
Yeah, about humble and going for it.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, I get it. I get it. So yeah, the derivation of humble comes from the ground. It means dirt. Like I don't want to be dirt. I don't want to be ground. Like that's what they want me to be. They meaning whoever that suppression is in society that we've been, duped by. So again, it's about being respectful towards others, and not boasting in a way that's like making others less than you. But also, it's about making good works known. It's also about owning the responsibility of inspiration, and all you need to know is if someone else can do it, you can do it.
yes,
So really that's really the viewpoint that we have. We made a vow in 2008 when we were on the verge of losing everything, that if we were ever to hit this point that we're at now in our lives, that we'd never close the curtain. So many wealthy people close the curtain, and I understand why, believe me. But we made a vow to each other that we were never going to do that, because when we were trying to figure it out, there was nobody that had their lives so open and transparent and mapping out a way for us. There wasn't. We had to figure it out. And hey, we did it fast. We did it in years, but now that we've done it, I owe it to myself to be able to say, look, this is where we're at. I got to get your attention, right? Otherwise, why are you going to listen to me? I have to show you my stats. These are my stats. It's a physical universe stat. We have successful businesses. We have planes. We have helicopters. They get attention. It's one thing to, as Grant says, you can fake a Lambo. You can't fake a jet. It's one thing buying it. It's another thing keeping it. Okay. And the only reason we do that is because we have the stat, right? We made a vow to help all the other quote unquote little people, just like me, just like Grant, Lake Charles, Louisiana. Elena never went to college. New Orleans, Louisiana, not supposed to be here. It's a fluke. But all the other people who think just like us, that maybe if I just take the right actions with the right knowledge, if knowledge is power, what is knowledge if it's the wrong knowledge doing to you? And that's what we've all been
yeah,
tricked with. So Grant and I have figured a few things out. We're not perfect, but we've figured a lot of things out. And I'm committed to helping others fast track their way to success. It doesn't need to take you two. You just need to put your head down, grind, know you're going to make some sacrifices, and you can do it in 5. You can do it in 5. We had to figure it out.
I want to be respectful of everybody's time. We're about the halfway mark here. So what I want to do now, Elena, is I want to open it up for some questions. I'm going to start with the moderators, and then I'm pulling some people up on stage who know you and probably want to, ask you some good stuff. But let's start. Does Michael, Suzanne, Alfonso, any of the moderators here of Closer Club, do you guys have a question for Elena?
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Hey, Elena, how are you? Good to see you again.
Oh, you too.
I have this. The is this? I've known Brian and Christy for a long time, and one of the biggest. We think we're successful, and then you see people like you and Grant and your guys touching the lives of so many. And the thing that I have to deal with fear mine of failure, because that's one of my biggest fears. And I'm wondering how you guys
failure. How do you deal with that, Elena?
You were clicking out, but yeah, fear of failure. I've learned this. Okay, I am scared all the time. When Javi punches me, I'm scared. I hate myself for it. I'm like, Jesus, when am I going to get over this damn lynching thing? Like, it just drives me crazy. I'm scared all the time. I'm scared of looking stupid, and I'm embarrassed of this or that. I don't want to work out, never do I want to work out. Like, I'm not talented. I get so frustrated. Like, I can't even do a pull-up. I can't even move like a centimeter. I'm training to do this pull-up right now. I can't even, it's so, like, why wasn't I given any talent anywhere? Like, how come I have to fight for everything? Like, why can't I just be blessed in a certain way? But what I have learned is that is what it is. And I can't go on my feelings, because feelings don't serve me. I go on discipline. I just do it anyway. I just keep doing it over and over and over. And I just acknowledge, okay, I feel stupid. I feel ridiculous. I'm so embarrassed. I'm so humiliated. I'm so afraid this isn't going to work. I've told everyone. I told everyone on EXP, right? I'm like, I have to pass this real estate exam in 28 days. Like not the whole world. I wish I was on that level. But everybody, a lot of eyeballs were on me. Is she going to pass the test? Is she going to pass the test? I was so afraid. Oh my God, what is my plan if I fail this thing? I'm horrible in school. I was a bad student. I hate it. It's traumatizing to me. I just took the test anyway. As soon as I passed the test, I cried. I was so freaking relieved, but I did it. But even if I didn't, at least I have the balls to just put myself out there and say, I'm going to, win, lose, or draw. Now I'm saying I'm going to go create the largest, most successful real estate team in the world. Like, who the hell do I think I am? I've been a realtor for 4 months. It's ridiculous what I'm saying. Like, it's just so.
But the crazy part is you would want everybody in this room to say the same thing. Why wouldn't you want to create the largest real estate organization in the world? Like, what do you want to create, the number 2 or the number 20 or the number 50? Like, what's your goal? Like, what? I remember I was in a Gary Vaynerchuk. He did this private lunch at a Tony Robbins event, and he was going around the room and he was asking everybody what their goal is, and then someone said, "Well, what's your goal?" And he said, "I want to be the most influential speaker in human history." And everyone was like, "Oh my God, how dare you? What about Jesus? What about Gandhi? Like, oh my God, you could never do that." And he's like, "Why wouldn't you say that? Like, why wouldn't you shoot for being the best ever?" Right?
Million percent. Why not go for it and, put yourself out there and just be willing to fall flat on your face and know this, okay? You're not your feelings. You have feelings. It's like a rainstorm. You have rain. You're not rain. You're not fear. You're not anger. That's not who you are. That is something that you experience and you can have from time to time. So that isn't who you are. You are a powerful spiritual being, or whatever it is that you believe that you are. That's who you are. You're capable of so much more than just what your physical body limitations think you can be.
No, I love that.
Thanks for sharing, Elena. It's great. It's
Yeah.
important. I mean, you got to shoot for the.
Yeah. Let's keep going around the room. I know Christy.
I have a
Go ahead,
question
Suzanne.
for
Go ahead.
Elena. I really appreciate what you said about family, and I just want to take that to another level because I'm a grandmother, and I just spent a month with my daughter and my son-in-law and my three grandchildren in Coronado Island, and it's so important to just keep growing that. It never ends, and that's just what I wanted to say about that. It never stops. It's so beautiful, and my question is, Elena, how do you keep that mindset consistent? Sometimes I sputter a little bit on certain things, whether it's health or weight loss or usually my business. I'm pretty strong in that one, but I how do you keep that consistent mindset?
It starts with a decision, even if you fail, like just redecide and recommit. Like, don't beat yourself up over it and say, oh, I'm not committed, I failed. No, that's in the past. I'm not the same person I was 15 minutes ago. I'm a new person with a new decision and a new mindset. And I just keep restarting and resetting all the time. I can restart and decide on a moment's notice, and I don't have to beat myself up for what I did in the past because that doesn't matter. I'm not my past. I'm who I want to be and where I want to go in the future. What is it that you want your future self to look like? What is it? Write it all down. Write the ideal scene. How do you look? What are the actions that you need to take in order to do it? For me, I need to hire people. I need to hire people to feed me because I don't understand anything about food. And if I have to eat my own food, I'm not going to eat food. And then when I do eat food, it's going to be like 2 or 3 pieces of pizza. And that's all I'm going to have for the rest of the day. So I don't know about food. I need to hire somebody to get me through food. I have to have Javi train me every single day, or guess what? I'm not training. I don't do it. I don't do it. I know this about myself. So I have to put people in place to help pull me through the actions I need to do in order to become who I want to be in the future. And
That's so
I
powerful.
just have a strong purpose and recommit and make a new decision in a new unit of time every single day.
See, even a coach needs coaches. And by the way, it's not one coach. I think Tony Geary said this a long time ago. He said, good people have a coach, great people have lots of coaches. And so here's Elena, who I would consider one of my coaches and mentors. And just, the short time I've known her, I've learned so much from being around her and Grant and their team, people like Buck and Brandon and Natalie. I mean, it's just unbelievable. All these people and you can get coaching in a 2-minute conversation from somebody and never meet them again, right? You don't need to have somebody in your life every single day. But to see what Elena does is she surrounds herself with the world's best coaches because she knows herself. She knows that she's not gonna. She knows that she's. Hey, you need a Fortnite coach, buddy. So they last days before school here, last days of summer. But so yeah, that's the power of what Elena does. And I also would say, Suzanne, if you read the book Be Obsessed or Be Average, that would help too, because they're not just obsessed with finances. They're not just obsessed with family. You're not just obsessed with health, right, Elena? You're obsessed with all of it, right?
Totally. I'm obsessed, and that's why I love that Grant wrote that book, because it gives other people like us the permission to be obsessed and to not fit in and to not be normal and to not be made to feel that you need to be drugged in order to slow down so everybody else who's not as driven can feel good about themselves, because they don't want you producing at massive levels when they're not, because then they feel bad. So what do? They try to hold you down and say you're hyperactive, you have ADD, you can't pay attention. No, it's not that I can't pay attention. I can do multiple things at one time. I have many windows open in my brain. You just don't hold my attention. You go deal with that. I
Yeah.
am interested in you. I got all the attention in the world for everything I'm interested in. It just happens that it's not you. So don't call me ADD. I'm ADD for you.
What you just said is the embodiment of a quote I put up, and I actually shared this memory on Facebook yesterday, but it was a quote I put up in 2013. I said, the difference between ambitious and envious is what you think when you see someone who is successful. Either you want what they have or you want what they have taken away.
That's powerful, Brian.
Right? Because
It is.
so think about what Elena just said. She's gonna not tamp herself down. She's not gonna going to mute herself with substances or negative beliefs, because that's what the world wants her to do. Because what happens is, if she's out there running laps around everybody, instead it forces us to make a decision. So you look at an Elena or a Grant or a Michael Banovic or a Suzanne Fuqua, and you go, how do they do it all? And then you either have to decide, you have to point the finger back at yourself and go, wait, I need to step up. But a lot of people want to slow them down, and they want to trip them up. And so it's weird, but like, think about your own life. When you see someone successful, does that inspire you to want to do better, or do you get resentful, bitter, and start blaming them and calling them the reason why you're a failure, and they must be suppressing you or holding you back somehow? And just check that, because that's the probably the worst. They say, and there's a great line. They said the oldest and most important decision anyone can make is whether or not to choose to be a victim. So again, the oldest and most important decision one can make is whether to choose to be a victim or not. And so it's 100% a choice. If you think Elena is the reason why you're failing, or if you think she's out there and her and Grant are taking everything and there's nothing left for anybody else, that is the biggest crock of shit you could ever trick yourself into thinking, because that is your choice. You decided. Now, where I look at it, and Christy, I don't know, Christy, what do you think? We look at Elena and Grant, and what do we think?
How can we be like them? How can we emulate them? Like, what can we do that they're doing? How can we, it's just, no, it's abundance. Like, there's no thought of.
And has that helped our life or hurted our life?
1,000,000% help. It's been, ever since we came back from 10X GrowthCon, like, we've been completely different. We were good before, but now we're just like leveling up. So thank you guys for that, Grant and Elena. But I have a question for you, Elena. We're in the chapter 9. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hey, okay. So chapter 9 of your book, The Royal Court. I love that chapter because we're living it in real time right now. We're picking our royal court. How did you guys have Ryan, you have Jared, Sherry. How did those people come into your life and I feel like it's such a big decision. Like, we're doing this right now. Do you have any advice for Brian and I on that?
Yeah. Brian said something earlier. We are very welcoming and open and very accessible, way more accessible than most people. But when it comes to inner circle, I'm extremely protective, and that's my role. I have more of that role. Ironically, you would think it would be Grant. It's not Grant. It's me. And you don't come in the inner circle without coming through my invisible barrier, and you won't feel that, and you won't know that, and oftentimes Grant won't know that, but that's the real deal. It won't happen. You will get killed off. And I do that because I need very highly ethical people around Grant. I need people who understand what we're trying to accomplish. And so the people that are in our lives are all, they check every box. They're not excessively drinking alcohol. They're not doing drugs. They're not cheating on their spouses. They're working hard. They're on purpose with a mission. There's no excuses. They have integrity. They're trustworthy. I just have our core values. And if you don't align with the core values, you're not getting in. I need everyone. I need the whole team, strong. It doesn't take very much to make the whole organization weak. It takes, empires are killed from within. And when you let a bad apple in, they do the most damage. It's not your enemy. Well, they are your enemy, but they are covert, right? They're hidden. You can't detect them. But you let a person like that in, and they destroy the whole operations. They start nattering, gossiping, pitting people against each other, trying to tear the organization apart. They have access to all your resources.
Now, do you get a feeling about this person before you let them in? Or, I mean, I know you've had some, made some mistakes, had been tricked by and hurt by people that, used, like, manipulated their way in, or used a sick family member to get your sympathy. And you've shared some of those stories with us. But, like, do you get a vibe? I mean, looking back on some of the people that you didn't let in and you felt like, wow, good thing we didn't let them in. Like, is it a vibe? Are there red flags?
It's red flags. I get a vibe too. I get a sense, but I study people. I've really trained myself because, again, I know my weakness. I'm naive. I just am, but I know that, right? So I have to run everything through a filter. Am I being naive? And I have to really train myself not to listen to what people tell me, but I have to study the stats. I need to see your stats. I need to observe you. How do you handle yourself, present yourself? Like, you're gonna make a red flag. I just, there's certain things I look for, that spending a little bit of time with someone is gonna reveal itself pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's really powerful. Well, I want to make sure we get enough. I pulled up a bunch of people on stage. Bobby, you got a question? Go ahead, brother. I'm gonna turn your mic up. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm just always just incredibly amazed by Elena. I know that she doesn't like the word humble, but modest, because I can definitely see where you and Grant's gotten where you've got. You're just incredibly amazing. But question I have, I guess you kind of answered, is how do you not get complacent? Two-part question. One is, how do you not get complacent when you've already achieved so many great things? Always, how do you continue to go on that uphill climb to achieve greatness? And the second thing is, how time management and spending that quality time with Grant and with your children. I know you include them a lot, but what do you is that difficult at times?
Yeah. So the first part is, I'm no longer, I mean, I'm doing this for myself, but I'm no longer really doing this for myself. My purpose, how I stay motivated. I'm at the point in my life where I could be complacent if it was just about me. But now it's about, I'm determined to be the best and live to my highest potential, to keep inspiring, motivating, and pushing and holding others accountable to hit their greatness. Like, I'm not happy that I hit it. I want us all to hit it together. So that's my new motivation. That's what keeps me going. It's not about me. It's about the condition of the planet, that I want to leave it by the time I die. Like, I want to make a difference. I want it to have an impact that I was here. And it's not about ego. It's just, I want it to, it's my legacy play. It's my spiritual deposit. I mean, I have materialistically more than enough. I never needed any of that. I still don't, but I love it. And that's nice. But spiritually, that's how I'm motivated, because I'm a little person, quote unquote, whatever that means. I'm not supposed to be where I'm at. And I just know there's a lot of other little me's out there that were just like me. And if they're interested and want to do the work, I owe it. It's my obligation to help as many other little me's out there to achieve what I have, or to help them achieve their goals. Lastly, I'll say about that is, for me, the greatest act of love that you can give somebody is to help them achieve their goals. I don't need you to turn off your phone and prove that you love me by watching a movie with me and, like, making me be the center of the earth for like an hour. That might work for other people, and that's fine. That doesn't work for me. That's not love. Help me achieve my goals, and I will love you forever. You become like, that is how Grant and I continue after 18 years of taking a lot of hits and a lot of challenges. That's how we stay in love, because we keep creating it. I help him hit his goals. He loves me even more. He helps me hit my goals. I'm like, mother effer, I freaking love you.
And it's crazy to me that in a lot of relationships, the person that's supposed to be there to help you achieve your goals is the biggest saboteur. And
it can be if they're not aligned. So,
yeah. How do you so I mean, you probably deal with this a lot, and certainly in your organization. I mean, there's a lot of relationships where, but I see it throughout the 10X nation. So many of your top leaders, their significant others are right there, part of the action, getting in, on all the stuff, helping with the companies, helping with the businesses. Is that a byproduct of being in the 10X orbit? Or are you looking for people that already kind of have that going on?
Honestly, I think it's a byproduct. It's people coming in, seeing the culture, seeing what's expected, seeing the results, having the wins. There's not a person on planet Earth, when you are achieving your goals and you're winning, you're not hating. You're winning. You're feeling good. And you start giving people wins in life, and they start achieving their goals. They're just in. Like, everybody, like, kind of figures it out and works together, because you just want more of it. It's like, wow, this is living, this is life.
Yeah.
Second, to address Bobby's number 2 question, how do we deal with the kids and the time management? I always figure out what really needs to be done. I prioritize. Sometimes my kids, I can tell they need me. I've been too busy. I've ignored them. I haven't been as attentive. And I can tell when they start kind of fighting with each other and things just kind of get off the rails a little. I understand, you know what? Okay, my work needs to take a back seat in this moment, and I need to go spend some time. I'm the mother. I'm responsible for the condition of this family. And so, I wear every hat at 100%. So I'm not saying I'm the best. This is what I go for. So I'll spend family time, and I really put in the time. And then there's other times where the kids are just bored, and they need something to do. And then it's more important that I go be over here at work and help other people. And at that time, okay, let the nanny or the driver take you to someplace and go swim at the park or wherever. And so I'm constantly assessing and evaluating who needs what. Grant and I are so focused on the mission, that we don't demand a lot of time together. That kind of just put your phones down. That's just not us. We're trying to reach 7 billion people on the planet. But I will say, during COVID, it was a really hard year for us last year. And I needed it. I hated that I needed it, but I was like, Grant, we need to go away. And we did. We went to St. Bart's, and we need to just put in us time. Like, we had some friends coming to visit us. I was like, we had to cancel the friends. I was like, I can't do this. Like, it was weird, but there
It's
are
like a
times.
cocoon phase, though. You needed a
I
little
was in
cocoon time.
cocoon phase, and it was odd, because I don't usually need that, but it was just the family for like a couple of weeks, and we needed that, and it was amazing. But we really needed that. You understand? So
Yep,
I
yep.
just prioritize for what needs what when.
I brought a lot of people up here who know you, who have recently met you, have connections with you. Elizabeth Riley, our one of our elite squad badass members. Elizabeth, I don't know if you're up on stage and you got a question or a comment for Elena, but I'd love to hear your voice. We got Captain Kirk, another Louisiana native. He's Captain Kirk was texting me during fight night, and he's got some gifts for you, Elena. I don't know, Captain Kirk, if you're on, you want to pop your mic on, say hi. We got Jana Cloud out in the Bay Area. She's one of my leaders. We pulled up a few folks here. Anybody got a question for Elena that I pulled up on stage?
Yeah, this is John Masurlian. Brian, how are you?
Go ahead, brother.
Elena?
Go ahead.
It's yeah, Elena, I just I've met you a few times and spoken to you, and I every time I'm just kind of like in awe of everything that you do. It's just amazing. And to hear your origin story, I always knew you were an actress, and you're in LA, and to hear that today, that you gave all that up for Grant is pretty amazing. And it started me thinking about my wife and Christy too. As soon as I came into as soon as Brian brought me into EXP about a year and a half ago, I realized quickly that Christy does so much for everything behind the scenes. So every time, if I'm sending a text to Brian, I send it to Christy, or whatever we're talking about, I try to include her because I know she's involved so much. And with my wife, Some of you guys know her, some don't. But I mean, my wife gave up her whole career. She gave up her country. I mean, she moved from Brazil to the United States. She was an engineer there, came here, got her real estate license, didn't know how to speak English. And, and I changed my profile picture just now with her because
Yeah.
it's, the wives behind the men, or even the men behind the wives that are realtors or whatever they do. I just want to thank them all. And, especially my wife and Elena and Christy. You guys do so much. And yeah. And yeah, thanks for all you do.
Well, it's like 1 and 1 doesn't make 2. 1 and 1 makes 11, and that's kind of the 10x mindset. This partner, and it doesn't have to be a wife. It could be a family member. It could be a brother. It could be a real close partner. But I just think with what we do, and absolutely, John, you nailed it. She does even more than that. I mean, I would not be here. I used to bring her on deals. I used to say she complements the deal. Shit, she was the closer. Like, I think we closed 90% of our clients back in the day that I'd take her on the showings or listings with. And I was probably only batting about 50% when I was by myself. But she legitimizes me. She makes me, I think a single guy out there in the world, trying to make it hustle without that powerful equal partner on their side, they come off a little desperate. They appear to be just a little slicker. You're not sure what their motivations are. Are they trying to date that girl? Are they trying to do a deal with that person? Are they, it's just a different animal when you're out there on the prowl, so to speak, versus having that, committed partner where, I just feel like, without Christy, we wouldn't be here. And really that applies to EXP. That applies to everything. I mean, she's been there every step of the way. She's done everything, Glenn or myself has ever asked her to do for the company or for our family business. And so you nailed it, John. I mean, none of us would be at EXP today if it wasn't for Christy.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Let's hear it for Christy. All right.
We'll have Christy on as a guest in a couple of weeks, and we'll really get into her backstory. But, well, listen, Elena, we got about 10, 15 more minutes here. I want to see if anybody else has any questions. Let's do some rapid fire. Who's got a question for Elena?
I have a question.
Yeah, I want to go.
Let's go with that first person. Go ahead.
So, Elena.
No, Michael, somebody else said it. Hold on.
I think it was Marisa.
Marisa, go ahead.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Hi, Elena. It's so great to meet you. I actually have a question. How do you elevate yourself when you're just starting out to the next level? Because you've been operating at such a high caliber level for so long. What is something that you would advise people to do to step it up to be able to get to where you are?
I would find a mentor. That's what I do. I never stop learning. I'm always a student. So find the person that has the true stat in the area that you're looking for, and go deep on what they did to get there and just duplicate it. Just duplicate what they did. That's what I would do. And don't get confused. Just because somebody is a mentor in one area, like I could go to Javier for MMA, but Javier is not who I'm going to go to for relationships. He doesn't have the stat in the area. So many people go to one person for every single area, and I think it's a mistake. I would find the best and try to figure out how you can study them or get around them or absorb the data or pay to network and be in the right rooms with powerful people. And that's the quickest way to fast track the success.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Marissa's found a few of those rooms. She's made her way into some. She's part of the royal court here for us too. So she's really, she's getting in there for sure. Great question. Anybody else have any good questions, or let's keep going around the room. I pulled up Christine. I pulled up Rudy. I know Rudy's a big 10X fan. He's a big fan of Uncle G. Rudy, you got a question, brother?
No, actually, it's crazy because I've been to every 10X conference, and when I started, people were like, why the hell are you spending all that money to go, right? But I've grown at every one. But the last one, Elena spoke, and I actually implemented it because she said it on stage, and I give her this because she said you could go out all day and build an empire, but then you could come home and destroy it. And when I got back, my mindset just changed because I was like, hey, I'm the one going out here all day, 12 hours, and totally different. Now it's like I'm doing it for my family, which is like, I remember when she hit that, like I literally like was in tears because I was like, dude, you're tearing down your empire. And I just want to give you props on that, Elena.
Oh, thank you, Rudy. That's a beautiful thing that you've done to change your family like that. That's so awesome.
You know, Lena, it must be really overwhelming. I mean, you guys changed a lot of lives. I feel like, you know, at EXP, we've done a good job of helping and changing a lot of lives. And how do you deal with all that feedback and all that, you know, just people just reaching out to you all the time? I mean, you know, it's got to feel somewhat overwhelming. Or how do you process all that?
Well, I hope nobody thinks this egotistically, but for me, it's, I live for success stories. You know, I said earlier, I'm not doing this for me anymore. I've already got mine. So when I hear that feedback, it's just, it is my inspiration. So, however many people say I've helped them, when they win in life and I have my legacy play, which is I help change the trajectory of somebody's life. Like that is the best reward I can have in my spiritual bank account. So I don't get overwhelmed by it. I don't need it to be like, oh, wow, you're so great, or, validate myself, even though, I do like to be liked. I wish I didn't, but I do. But anyway, it's really just a validating thing because I know it looks easy from what you see on Instagram, but and they're it does. I mean, we have a beautiful life but there's a lot of sacrifices and a lot of mental toughness and hits and learning and so it makes it all worth it to get to the
Yeah.
bottom line. It makes it all worth it. It makes me go, this is that what we're doing is working, continue. So it's like an acknowledgement for me to keep going.
You know what I've kind of started saying a lot to people that say thank you, or, you know, show me some form of appreciation or gratitude. I say, hey, thank me by winning. You know, thank me by, you know, continuing to kick butt, right? Like, thank me by implementing. You know, they'll say, God, I got so much out of your class the other day. And I'll go, great. And I learned some of this by watching you and Grant and how you guys operate with your team, and Glenn, of course. And, you know, over the years working with Glenn, you know, but it's sort of like, you know, there's no more higher compliment you can pay a coach than to implement the coaching. You know, so at some level, when I see people thank me, but they don't implement the coaching, or they're not running the play, or they're not doing all aspects of what we just talked about, but they're very thankful, I'm kind of like, well, where's the disconnect, right? Well, like you're like, you just came to a clubhouse and you said this was life changing, and yet you went back and didn't change a thing, right? So I don't know. You know, it's interesting, right? I'm sure you deal with that a lot. But listen, folks, Elena, if somebody does want to join the empire, right? They want to come work with Elena. They want more of Elena Cardone in their life, more of the Cardone Nation, the Cardone to 10X Empire in their life. What would be a good way? Obviously, we talked about 10X ladies, obviously Operation 10X Badass. Folks, do not miss any of these events. I mean, the real estate summit we were just at was unbelievable. It was 3 days. Grant Cardone, just in his, you know, just the mind of Grant, right? Just watching him go with just nothing more than a whiteboard and a phone and a laptop and a little bit of production. He basically broke down the secrets of wealth building, gave us all the golden nuggets he could possibly give us, and then some. And so if you're not coming to these events, you're missing out. But if they want to come work with you, Elena, what's a good website that they can come learn more about how you're building your real estate empire?
They would just go to join10xempire.com, join10xempire.com, and they can learn about what we're doing with real estate there. I would love to talk to anyone that's interested in that and let you know what we're doing and how it works. So yeah, sign up.
Yeah, sign up, folks. And let's, you know what, let's leave with this. The power of commitment. You know, you often, I hear Grant say this. I mean, you almost lead every book, every speaking engagement. Talk about the power of commitment and why it's so important for you to have people on your organization that are committed and all in.
Well, it's like what we were talking about earlier. It's like the commitment and the discipline is going to get the job done. Feelings aren't going to get the job done. What gets the job done is your commitment and your willingness to keep moving forward no matter what happens without excuses. So if someone doesn't have commitment, they're quitting. It's a freaking hard world, man. It can be challenging. I mean, and that's the game of life, you know? If everything was so easy, you would be miserably depressed. You need barriers, you need obstacles in life to overcome. And then, you know, you get to the finish and it's like there's the glory and the happiness. So I'm not dissing on the challenges, but life can throw you a few. And it's going to take a commitment to get you over that hurdle. Otherwise the feelings are going to be like, you don't need to do this. This hurts. This sucks. This stops. Why am I doing this? And you're going to stop if you listen to your feelings. So commitment and discipline are major qualities of that the people around us need to possess. And, you know, I need you to have commitment, because if I allow you to stop on your commitment, you're going to allow me to stop on my commitment. And then boom, we're in a sunken ship.
And what does Grant always say? You sell how you're sold. You know, and that's why when we talk about joining us, coming to work with, you know, us at EXP, or partnering with us, or joining 10xempire.com, join 10xempire.com. You know, when you think about why do we want people that are all in, because that's how you're going to bring people in. You know, so if you're not all in and you don't believe in this, and it doesn't permeate, you know, every, you know, pore in your body, and you don't ooze and breathe and sleep this mission that you're on, then how can you expect anybody else to do the same thing? You know, if you're trying to, you know, have it both ways, and you're working another business and you're going to do this on the side, well, so is everybody that you bring in. You know, if you need a big giant deal, or you need some sort of special situation because you've got this big reputation and you crushed it in some other world, and now you want to be cash in on your reputation, well, so is everybody you bring in going to want to do it that way, right? So how are you possibly going to be a good recruiter, or a good attractor, or a good salesperson if you are a shitty person to be sold? You know, like, it's just not going to work. So, you know, doesn't Grant always say that? You sell how you're sold, right? And so, I don't know, Elena, take us home. Let's leave us with some parting thoughts, or, you know, we're up against the 90-minute mark here, and I do want to be respectful of everybody's time. I'm sure we all got a million things to do. Take us home.
Okay, so I just want to thank you for having me on the show today, and thank everyone for their participation and for staying here, and for all the support and success that you guys are having in life, and your commitment and your willingness to defy all the odds and go for your goals and go for your dreams. No matter how many times life tells you no, you have the audacity to stand back up and keep on throwing your punches and moving forward. I respect you. I appreciate you. You've found a similar mindset of a person in me, and I root you on. So I'm cheering from the sidelines. You are greatness. You just need to let it shine, and don't be stingy. You know, don't withhold yourself. The world needs you. The world needs empire builders. If you think you can, then you must. And you know, don't be stingy. Go for greatness and share it with the world. I need you. I need your products and services as much as maybe you need mine. So don't withhold yourself. Don't worry about your fears, or those are little things trying to prevent you from helping me. And don't let that get in the way, because we need you. This world, look around. It's in pain. There's a lot of challenges going on in the world right now, and you make a difference. And you can make a difference by smiling at someone on the sidewalk, or saying hi to the grocery bagger. You can make a difference. If change is power, is making a difference for the better, and you can do that by altering a life. So go out, be great. Nothing else pays. I love you. God bless, and thank you.
That's it, folks. The the one and only Elena Cardone. Thanks, Elena. We love you.
Thanks, Elena. That was beautiful.
Thanks, Elena. That was awesome.
That's great.
Amazing.